Hello and welcome to Beyond the Bio. This week is a solo episode and I'm talking all about easing yourself into the new year with your visibility goals. Now, if you're anything like me, you'll have all sorts of great intentions about the new year. I always take quite a while off over the Christmas break. I take the full 2 weeks of the school holidays off because typically it's the only time of year where you don't get loads of emails and messages and you can really switch off, and it's lovely to be able to spend that time with family and loved ones. But what that then tends to lead to is my mind wanders, but in a really good way, because I start thinking about all the things that I want to do the following year. There's this natural tendency to reflect on the year that's gone by, whether that be the wins, hopefully you have lots of those, but also the things that haven't gone so well, or the things that you haven't got around to doing that have been on your goal list for that year but that you haven't got around to doing. Over the break, I did read a few business books. I think it's a nice time to read those types of books and give you a bit of inspiration for the year ahead. And I tend to read business books in paperback so that I can either draw on them or I can easily flick back to different things. I find it much easier for me to do when it's a paperback. I then have a notepad that I tend to just jot ideas down in at the same time while I'm reading it. So this isn't a bedtime reading thing. One, it gets your brain going crazy. For me, from a practical sense, I like to be able to write things down. So I've got a new notepad and various ideas that I've jotted down for the year ahead. Then I've been thinking about how do I translate these into some kind of plan, because it's all well and good having them in my notepad, but how do you translate them to a plan? And I like to do these in two ways. I always have a vision board for the year ahead. What I do at the end of the year or at the start of the new year is I review what's on that board. I might take off anything that was time sensitive or something that's happened, and I might write on the back, this happened in August, or a little reflection or a little note for myself. And then I put those into a box with ones from the previous years. There might be some things on my vision board that are relevant forever or are longer term goals, and they might stay on there. And then I'm looking at the space that I've got and I'm thinking about what visuals I want to print off and stick onto my vision board. Now, this might sound a bit woo-woo, but I do think that it is worth doing it as having something physical and visual that you can come back to. For me, I have my vision board in my office at home. I don't work from home that often, but when I do, I glance at it. It's on the shelf next to the desk that I sit at, and it just gets me focused on what it was that I put on that list. And it's very visual, as a vision board is, but it just prompts some thinking. And it tends to be that the days where I work at home and I spot what's on that and it catches my eye, I tend to take some kind of action that moves me a bit closer towards one of those goals. So if you haven't tried it, you can go more woo-woo if you want. I think for me that's just practical goal setting in a visible, visual way. But you can go nuts with these kinds of things. But that is one thing that I think is helpful. And this is like high level stuff. So for me, I want to prioritize my relationships. I want to prioritize my health and nutrition and things like that this year. So there's some personal stuff in there, but equally there's some business stuff in there too. I want to do a new book this year and I've got a few ideas for that already. And there's certain goals that I have, financial goals within the business that I really want to hit as well. So all of this stuff goes into that. So that is something that is practical and is visual and that I spot and look at on a weekly basis. Then you need something that is a bit more practical. Maybe it's in the notepad, maybe it's a bigger piece of paper. And I need to transfer mine, I think, onto a bigger piece of paper. I think that's where I'm going with this. What I like to do is just to map out the year. So very high level, month by month, and plot certain things into there. So for me, it is, what are we launching this year? If you haven't heard about the Get Known Club, this is our amazing value members club where people are paying a monthly fee to access the content and the community and teach themselves how to grow their profile. So we'll be opening membership for that again towards the end of March. We'll pop a link to the waitlist in the show notes to make that easy for you to sign up if you want to hear about that. So we need to plan out when are those launches going to be this year. And I think we're going to have 2, maybe 3, but probably 2 launches. We will then also have at least a couple of writing retreats. So we know we've got one coming up in February. Again, we will pop that link into the show notes. So if this is the year that you've got writing a book on your goal list, definitely come along to the writing retreat because you will leave with so much under your belt. You'll have a full plan, you will have probably written a few thousand words as well, and you'll have a schedule to get it done, as well as understanding how to launch and all your publishing options. So we're going to pop those writing retreats into the plan as well. Any events that I've committed to, whether it's speaking or attending, they're going into this plan as well. And then I'm looking at the gaps and I'm thinking, right, okay, am I at enough things? Am I at too many things? Do I need to remove some of these things? Have I got gaps of a couple of months where I'm not visible or being seen at any particular event? In which case, I might want to put myself out there to go and speak at something, or I might be looking for an opportunity. So it's planning all of these things out where I've got those business goals in there, but also they're sensible, because it would be crazy to have a writing retreat that we're promoting at the same time as promoting the launch for the Get Known Club, for example. So we just need to make sure that all of these things are spread out so that it's not a mad panic just before, or we have different priorities conflicting with each of them. Then for me as well, it is thinking about content. So I write a couple of columns. I've got a column with Elite Business and also with Business Cloud magazine. So I'm committed to writing an article for them every single month. And I'm also committed to being visible on my social media. So for me, it is LinkedIn as my main platform, and I can't see that changing. But actually this year, I need to get better with Instagram, and I'm going to be pulled sort of kicking and screaming a bit, but I think I need to turn my Facebook into more of a professional page. I did try having a professional page just for work stuff, but I haven't updated that in ages. Now I could do that, but I guess it's not going to be as engaging as combining it with the personal stuff. So I need to figure out how I'm going to do this, but I know that I'm missing out by not talking more and promoting the business within my Facebook page. So I need to give that some thought as to what that is going to look like and how comfortable I feel with that. For me, it might be that I change the settings on some of my posts. So perhaps more personal, family type posts only go to a certain group of people. I don't know yet. I'm going to have to figure that out. So watch this space on that front. So once you've got this big high level plan, then that is going to guide you for what you're doing for the rest of the year. And it's going to help you to say yes or no to the various opportunities that will hopefully be presenting themselves to you throughout the year. Planning is super, super important. And if you get these documents or plans or vision boards or whatever you want to do, whether you do all of those things or you just do one of those things, if you get those done, that is going to be really helpful in terms of providing a bit of structure and guidance for your year and being able to give you some very clear objectives that you're going to be able to review, hopefully excel and cross off, and then set more challenging goals for the year afterwards. The other thing that you need to think about is, what are you practically doing on a day-to-day basis to move forward with all of these goals and aspirations? And something that I've been using a lot in my talks lately is this concept of doing one thing. It's great that we start the year super excited, wanting to do literally a million things, and we have all of these brilliant ideas, but we're just kind of setting ourselves up to fail if we have so many ideas and yet we can't follow through on any of them, because we're starting all these different things, we're not finishing anything, or we're burnt out because we've taken too much on, or we're missing out on opportunities because we're not able to say yes to the things that we want because we've overcommitted elsewhere. So my mantra of do one thing is just, I can hear my voice just slowing down as I'm thinking about doing one thing, is just a really good way to ground ourselves and think about what it is that we want to do. So for me, around the social side of things, LinkedIn is still always going to be my platform. So if I can do one thing and commit to being consistent on LinkedIn, now for me, I've said it before, it's 2 posts a week. But yes, there's an aspiration there for me to do more with Instagram and Facebook, but actually good enough for those 2 platforms, it might just be me repurposing the content that I'm putting out on LinkedIn. It might be. I might be able to change it up a little bit, but I need to just preserve my time and energy and think carefully about what it is that I do. My one thing might be pitching a podcast one day or one week to present myself as a guest. That might be a one thing. I might be pitching to a journalist for an appearance in a magazine or whatever that might be. But by just making sure that I'm doing one thing, and I need to work out, is that daily, is that weekly, is it monthly? Are they big things? Are they small things that are just going to push things forward? But this whole thing of doing one thing is just moving you a little bit closer to those steps, those objectives that we've identified at a high level. So if you break it down like that and set yourself the challenge and just do one thing, like I say, whether that be on whatever basis that you want. So for me, realistically, it's probably going to be once a week, one thing that I can do that is going to just push things forward on my goals, and we can all commit to doing that. And it's making the most of the time that we've got. So for me, that might be a metro job. I might think, all right, what can I do on this particular morning that is going to push things forward? So I'll leave that thought with you, but do some planning, because that is going to be super, super helpful to get you very visible for this year and push things forward in your business. And as always, let me know how you get on. I am on the lookout for more new guests for 2026. So if you've got any guest suggestions, any topics that you want us to cover on the show, any experts that you want us to track down, please let me know. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching or listening, and I'll see you next week.